Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everyone out there? What's going on, Chip? It is good to see you on here. Tonight's going to be an interesting night because we are going to talk about no more taxes on Bitcoin and XRP and other crypto assets. There might be a caveat, there might be a catch, but we know that that could be a big game plan. Maybe there's a hidden agenda, maybe there isn't. Maybe it's happening in one state and you're in that state. XDC, a $10 trillion disruption taking place. We got to dig into these two things because just when you thought the winning was over, there's more winning.
There's a lot more winning that's coming. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome, everybody. Tell me where you're coming in from. Tell Jeff, where are you coming in from today? What part of the world are you coming in from? Jeff, so I've been watching a lot of podcasts. And a lot of times I like to view them, and sometimes it's just audio only. But I'm really having a hard time with why these people are so like this. Every podcast is like this. It's like, yeah, so anyway, like the microphone's in front of their face, or it's down like this.
Yeah,
and they're talking like this, and I'm like, yeah, and they're talking, like, and the microphone's covering their face, and they're
great idea, actually.
Yeah, it's great. You just do the whole show like this, or it's coming in from the side like this,
right.
And it blocks like half their face.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I just can't. I don't understand these people.
All right,
there it is, right there. That's it. That's exactly how I'm like. What is? And they're successful podcasts.
They're right.
And there's that Lex Friedman dude. Please, somebody wake him up. Kick him in the. Maybe put him in a cold plunge before the show. Maybe he's like this. This is like, here's Lex Friedman. 4 million people follow him. 4 million, dude. And this is Lex Friedman. So tell me more about the time when you. I mean, the guy's like half asleep. Looks like he looks and talks like he just rolled out of bed with like a massive hangover, and just discovered that every business and ability he had just went under. That's how he looks. He has great interviews. I go look at the transcripts because he does phenomenal interviews. His questions are fantastic. He does quality interviews. I just can't listen to him. what I want to do is AI, and I want to change it to somebody upbeat, or even change it to Joe Rogan's voice. So I feel like I'm mildly interested in it, but it's a very strange thing, Jeff. I don't know. How's everybody doing tonight? Happy Mother's Day. Happy to all the mothers out there, and all of the gents out there who have mothers, and all the people who are married to somebody and have kiddos. So there you go, or a significant other, whatever it is, your partner or whatever. But yeah, it was a tough one for me this year, Jeff, because the first year without my mom, I posted on X earlier. It's like, but I do remember my mom, I did spend last Mother's Day with her, and I remember getting her a bottle of perfume and saying, hey, and she had, because she had what's the one that robs you of your muscle structure and everything. She couldn't speak that well, but the first thing she said to me is like, get a haircut. When are you getting your haircut? And I was like, okay, I heard that. And then the second thing was, and then I gave her Mother's Day gift, and she's super happy. We got her favorite food, and brought it in this Italian restaurant to the the hospital, and she's looked at she was really excited about the perfume I got her, and she's like, why did you get me the little bottle? I'm like, well, it's Mother's Day, the big bottles are sold out. It was like the little bottle was like almost $300. I was like,
oh my God.
I was like $250 or $260 or whatever it was. And she's like, I'm like, they're all sold out because it's Mother's Day. Why did you wait so long to get it? I'm like, how we are. Right. I said, that's what we do. We buy it the day before. That's how we roll, Mom. But yeah, she was a funny lady, and yeah, and I missed her terribly. So it was a weird sort of a day, and and obviously our kids were not home, but our youngest one was. So she got her Mother's Day gift. So that was all cool. Look at the Yetis are pouring in, Jeff. We don't even have to announce it. The Yetis are coming in fast and furious on the Yetis. Gonna love that. Got to love it. Did you see your mom today?
I did. Yep. We were going to go out to dinner, picked a restaurant. And then this morning I woke up. I said, well, I want to go out. Going to barbecue here. So
nice.
That's what we did.
So
4 pounds of hamburger. bunch of
Oh,
chicken.
it's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of hamburger. It's
That's
a lot in the
great.
fridge. Yeah.
That's great. So you had a nice day. Beautiful, dude.
Yeah, it was cool.
Beautiful.
They
Nice.
brought their
Nothing better
dogs
than
over,
barbecue.
so it's kind of cool.
Oh yeah. They have 2 of them, right? 2 doggos.
3.
They have 3 now?
They have
What?
another Chihuahua. 3 Chihuahuas, and the third one is about 4 pounds. She's the smallest dog you've ever seen in your entire
Oh
life.
my goodness.
And
3
and she's
pounds.
like
That's
14 years old. So they
Oh.
rescued her this past year, and she has all sorts of complications and medical needs and
Hey,
everything.
Chihuahua.
But
Those
yeah,
little Chihuahuas or something.
Chihuahua.
Is it a friendly one? Some of them are like they get those real teeth, and they get some of them are just
No,
cool as
it's
hell. My buddy had a
actually pretty
Chihuahua. It was pretty old. I think it was 15 or 16, maybe even 17 before he had to put it
Yeah.
down. But dude,
Yeah, and all 3 of them are pretty cool. And
Yeah,
you know what's crazy? It was the first time with 3 dogs here, and not one of them barked. They didn't beg. I got all sorts of cooking going on and all sorts of
man,
things. And
perfect
these
day.
dogs,
Perfect day.
nothing. My old dogs, you know, with
Ah.
Julius, he was a nut job.
Well,
He was a complete asshole. So if you were cooking, you
yeah.
know, he would have been there trying to steal the food off the
I
counter.
thought about Julius today because I saw a video of a lady. There was one of these big gators. It was somewhere here in Florida, but the gator had come right up to the sliding door, and she's like, hey, she's on the side. She's like, please go away. And someone else behind her is filming, please go away. And then the next thing I saw, very next thing that I saw was the beagle comes running up, and the damn took off to the water. It was running so fast that it was about ready to have a heart attack. I mean, that beagle came and just,
That beagle was going to kick
that
his
would have
ass.
been a total Julius move right there, man.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, that video was funny
That's
as hell.
exactly what Julius
He would have gone off on that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hello from Chip's backyard shed. What's up, Mike? He's in the backyard. Good. Beautiful. Everything's got the Yetis in here. Look at that. Already we're up to 10 out of nowhere. El Paso's in the house. Beautiful to hear that. Yeah, mom's gone too. Yeah, I missed them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people got so many beautiful comments on X today. Some people, and somebody lost their mom like last month, and I was like, yeah, it's people like the first one's really the toughest. I think they're probably all tough. But
yeah, I think so.
Happy Mother's Day to 2 fathers. There you go. I'm just going through the comments here. Mm-hmm. Da 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 da. Yeah, going through. I don't know what this is. Got some bots in here, people. I mean, where are our mods? We need to make sure we don't. I'm cool with people saying stuff, but not shilling. We got to have mods in here somewhere. Hello from Cape Town. There we go. Cape Town in the house. Beautiful. Love that. Love it. Pittsburgh, PA. Very cool. Haven't been to the Berg in a long time, but great people there. Here we go. Let's look at this, Jeff. Check it out. There is a new XRP L wallet. This came out of nowhere. I saw Wrath of Conman talking about this, and I've never seen this before. I thought, well, this is pretty interesting, so we should look at this. StaticBit wallet now open for testing. Please inform me about the launch of the first version of the already familiar. I guess it's been around a while, but I guess it's just updated. Explore the XRPL, trade, store, earn, all from decentralized wallet. And again, we're not endorsing any wallets. We tell you to do your own research. We don't know anything about this. We just reporting on it. Don't get it and say, oh, they took all my, you got to do some of your own, your research and, to know. I don't know much about it. StaticBit, build the next generation crypto wallet, decentralized, seamless, ready for the multi-chain universe. So I guess it probably stores a lot of different, so here's their website right here for StaticBit. Let's see here. There it is. StaticBit. Boom. Familiar wallet, new app format. Decentralized. Uses the index interface built from the ground up. Focus on full XRPL support and a full multi-protocol architecture. Initialize transactions from dApps, decentralized apps, full access to all XRPL features, open and extensible interface support for future protocols, EVM, and etc. And there's a bunch of stuff. So you can do trust lines, tokens, folders and wallets, blah, blah, blah. There it is. I don't know. It looks pretty cool. I don't know anything about it, though.
Cool.
I mean,
it's pretty cool.
Really don't know anything about it, but I thought we might just talk about it a little bit. They've been on, so they joined X in June of 24, so maybe they're relatively new in the space. which is interesting. So that's something. Some new development on the horizon. Again, guys, do your own research there and make sure that you kind of check it out. Other things, a little bit of slow news day with the XRP. A lot of stuff going on with XDC. But Daniel, if you know Daniel Keller, who is the CEO of the XRPL, that's a joke he's got going on. People see that and they're like, "It's decentralized. How can you be the CEO if it's decentralized?" People miss the joke. It's funny. But Daniel's here talking about that. Also CEO of Casino Coin, almost 400. So he's got this cool site called lottery.luckyhash.win. And here it is right here. So let's just let me refresh this to make sure the jackpot is correct. So 465 XRP is the current jackpot. The LuckyHash lottery is simple, transparent, powered by the XRP ledger. Winning combination is determined by the first 5 characters of the XRPL ledger hash, and the jackpot bonus is based on the last character of the hash. So to play, you choose 5 characters, either 0 through 9 or A through F as your main numbers, and then 1 extra character is your bonus number for a shot at the jackpot. Use Zaman number picker or a manual transfer below. So you can come in here, there's your numbers right there. You hook up your, and then it's 1 XRP to play. Not bad, right? So for, it's like buying a lottery ticket. And then you go ahead and you choose your numbers, like 6, 7, E, D, B. And then my bonus number will be lucky number 7. So that's what I would do. Then I would have, let's see, so if you want to do 2 draws, it could be 2 XRP, 3 draws, 3 XRP, and so on. And then you go ahead, you pay with your Zaman wallet, you connect it, you pay, and you're in the drawing. So I don't know, I thought that was kind of fun. Sometimes, there's 53 people in right there.
Yeah.
Prize pool is 53 XRP. The next draw is 3 hours and 57 minutes. And then you can look at the history, who won, and look at the recent winners, who won what, all the way down. I don't exactly understand. The draw history is 48. What did they say this one was? This prize 53. So I guess you're taking a shot at that. And if you get the bonus number, you hit the XRP main draw. If I'm understanding that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. I'm looking at what it might be.
No.
This came up. This is kind of interesting because a lot of people ask a lot about, why was XDC founded? What is XDC all about? So trade finance is really one of its main areas of specialty, but a $10 trillion industry plagued by inefficiencies, slow processes, and limited access. Again, that's one of the reasons what XDC was developed. Challenges that blockchain technology is uniquely positioned to solve. And they got a whole research paper. They're like, what is trade finance? It's when financial products like letters of credits, guarantees, and insurance are used for trading internationally. So a coffee exporter in Colombia can ship beans to European roasters without worrying about delayed payments. Electronics distributor in South Korea can import raw materials from multiple suppliers without tying all its capital. And then trade finance makes these transactions possible by reducing the risk and improving cash flow. What's TradeFi? TradeFi refers to the tokenized blockchain-powered evolution of traditional trade finance. It modernizes global trade by leveraging smart contracts, tokenized assets, and decentralized infrastructure, improves liquidity, reduces counterparty risk, and then streamlines transactions. So now you can look at the size of the market and really more or less where it's heading. The trade finance represents a massive $10 trillion market, totally ripe for disruption through blockchain technology. And so who else commented on that? But XDC Network said, well, trade finance is a $10 trillion network ripe for disruption. The XDC infrastructure was built to power this shift from paper to tokenized assets, improving access to capital, reducing friction costs, and settlement time. So that's a little bit about, XDC, the problem they're solving. Of course, they've gotten into some other areas as well, but I thought that was pretty good. They've also joined the Mika Crypto Alliance. And if you're wondering who's in that, we'll take a look in a minute, but you'll see some familiar faces. Welcome to welcome. This is from the Mika Crypto Alliance. Welcome. This is the collaborative initiative designed to streamline and enhance compliance with Mika regulations, backed by Hedera, Ripple, and Aptos, and a whole slew of others. But XDC is now part of the Mika Crypto Alliance. XDC network is a layer 1 blockchain purpose-built to address real-world challenges in global trade and finance. Its hybrid architecture combines the transparency of public networks with the control, speed, and data privacy offered by private subnets, making it super strong, fit for regulated enterprise environments. And they talk about some other stuff in there, but there it is. Here's the Mika Crypto Initiative right here. And again, they can join it, but you see the names right there: Hedera, Ripple, Aptos, Token Forge, and there's some members. Now the XDC network's already on there. So mission is an alliance-led initiative to support coordination, establish a best practice, drive cost efficiency under Mika. Regulatory. Is Mika Europe, Jeff? Is that what it is? Mika, is that what it is? It Europe or is it
Mika? I thought was just in the UK, or is it Europe?
No, for some reason I thought maybe the UK sounds familiar there too, but I don't know what the. But I guess let's see, Mika governance. Let's see if I can find out who this is. Mika initiates uniform EU market rules for crypto. Yeah, so it's the EU. What is Mika? Yep. Yeah, we're both kind of right there. See? Yeah, see? That's what it is. See? So, and there you go. There you have it, Jeff.
There you have it.
Mika.
Mika.
Got the Yetis. All the Yetis are there. Got 14 in there so far. Look at that. Crypto went a little crazy with the Yetis going on there. Yeti.
Well, when we play this next song, I think get people fired up.
Some more excitement going there. You tease this one at the top of the show. And this one here is interesting, man. This is very cool. Breaking: Missouri removes capital gains tax on Bitcoin, XRP, stocks. Dude, stocks too, and real estate. Stocks, the first U.S. state to do it. It is surprising. Like, if you thought, which state would it be? You probably would have guessed Missouri, but
it wasn't Missouri. Missouri was not at the top of my list, honestly.
If I don't even think it was the top 25, to be honest.
It didn't rate in my top 100. It just didn't even appear. So when that came up, I'm like, man, what in the world is going on?
There's only 50 states. How could it be the top 100? So you're saying that it was that far down the list?
Saying it was so far down my list, exactly.
It wasn't on the list.
It wasn't on my list, is my point. Right,
man. Well, I would have thought, like,
I mean, Florida, it could have been 50. It could have been, but no, it didn't even. I'm like, I didn't even think Missouri hasn't come up in any conversation. When was the last time we ever talked about Missouri?
We haven't.
That's the whole point.
Don't they say Missouri? Don't they say
Missouri? Missouri.
So
only we say Missouri.
Well, it sounds they got a little excited with this particular post right here. It's a little bit exciting. Missouri just dropped a policy bombshell that could ripple across the U.S. economy and fast. It's called House Bill 594. It says while the rest of America is still sweating over IRS forms, Missouri quietly passed House Bill 594, a law that eliminates state capital gains taxes. Now, it's interesting because you have in Florida, we hear all about, Governor DeSantis talking about you don't truly own your house because you got to pay taxes on it every year. If you don't pay your taxes, you put a lien in your house, right? So he's trying to get rid of property taxes. We got the Bitcoin bill that's made it pretty far in Texas. And now, out of nowhere, we see this. So what is surprising is, like, crypto is surprising enough. But the fact that it's on stocks and real estate. Now, it's state only, right? So, yes, we just did that. Missouri lawmakers said loud and clear. Translation: Missouri residents can now trade, flip, or hodl and keep every dollar of profit at the state level. 102 to 41 vote, pretty strong. Governor backed. This isn't a drill. This isn't some fringe libertarian fantasy. It passed with serious majority support. The governor's on board. It means real investors will move. Startups will follow. Missouri becomes a magnet for crypto capital. I can't see why they wouldn't if you keep everything, Jeff. I mean, it has some pretty interesting repercussions, why it matters for the whole U.S. Because Missouri may be the first, but it definitely won't be the last. Other states will now face pressure to compete. Investors will begin relocating their capital and themselves, and then Washington can't ignore this forever. So we want your Bitcoin, won't penalize you for holding it. That's the message, loud and clear. The real story, it's not just about tax reform. It's a signal. It's a declaration of crypto freedom, pushback against overregulation. It's Missouri saying, build here, trade here, prosper here. What are your thoughts on that?
That's big. I want to see that on a t-shirt. Build here, trade here, prosper here. Man, that is huge. And the ball is now in Washington's court. So if it goes to Missouri, everybody's on notice. And they're pushing this thing through, and it's got to go nationwide. We got to worry about state income tax, got to worry about federal, income tax. Florida, we don't have state income tax, but still got to worry about the federal income tax. So let them kill it there. Let them kill it at the national level. Let people prosper, keep the money here. If more people can prosper on this kind, as you're investing, you're excited, people are going to take those wins and they're going to go spend those wins. Where are they going to spend them? They're going to spend them at home, so, and then the whole nation benefits, so we got to find the right path forward. And Trump is on the right path. He's already looking at the tariff situation. How do we bolster our bottom line? How do we generate more cash flow? Elon Musk and Doge had found 100,000 federal workers that were claiming unemployment, and so think about the ramification of the cleanup of the fat within federal government, and to boot, get rid of all of that garbage and also put more money into the hands of the people. So if we have more money, keep your paycheck, keep everything. People are going to take it. Imagine you make 100,000, you get 100,000. It's not you make 100,000 and your take home is 70 or less.
Right.
It's you make 100, you keep 100. You make 200, you keep 200. You make 50, keep whatever it is. The dollar will go so much further. I mean, it's crazy. They you hear these politicians talking about, the crisis and, the price of housing and all of these other, and the price of food and the price of, well, just let people keep their money. How about that? Why are we giving the money away, to the federal government to waste? And you have 100,000 federal workers that should now be in jail, that are working full time and claiming unemployment, plus all the other fraud that we've seen go on. Enough's enough. They're not reliable, stewards of our money. Let us keep it. You want to take money as tariffs. There's still expenditures that we need to keep this country going. You need infrastructure, and you need the military, and you need a few other things. And let's go, and we'll be lean, mean fighting machines. There you go.
That's great. Corey says Washington State has a capital gains tax over $250K. Hidden income tax. Yeah. Right. U.S. Jim D says U.S. has a serious problem with full-time jobs. I don't know. I'm not aware of that.
What does that mean?
I don't know what
What's
that
our
means.
serious problem? That we have too many, we don't have enough, people can't keep them. I don't understand what the explain the commentary there, Jim.
I don't know, but this one, if you remember this one, this is Mark Smithson saying the Gettysburg Address, not the Gettysburg. This is 77 years ago. Brad Garlinghouse brought forth upon this continent a new asset conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition. I love that. The Gettysburg Address. We are getting creative, people. We need to make a Gettysburg Address. It'll be very simple.
We're going to make one.
Claim it. Be fantastic. I love that.
Make one.
Yeah,
well, the only ones that can have it would be the Blue Tribe. So we'll have the Gettysburg Address with the Blue Tribe. The other tribes have elders, and they don't allow that type of stuff.
Of course, Bob says Washington State. I won't hold my breath. Corrupt Democrats run this state. Yeah, well, they run a lot of states. They run about 23 or 24 of them. Too few is what he's saying. There's too few jobs. There's not enough full-time jobs. Is kind of what he's saying there.
Kansas City is confused. Kansas or Missouri? They don't know. They're not sure yet. They're still trying to figure it out.
Zober says no job security, stability, and career employment is down. Yeah, it's we're still living Biden's economy, man. It's a very weird time out there. I'm hearing that from people I'm seeing that in business. I'm seeing that in, friends that are job hunting. I'm seeing it everywhere. It's like they're like, it's a weird time. There was another article on this, and one note here is they said prior to the proposed changes in the House Bill 594, Missouri taxed capital gains as ordinary income. So this meant that profits from a sale of an asset, let's say stocks, real estate, or crypto, were subject to the state's progressive income tax rates, which range from 0 to 4.7 based on income brackets. So it could potentially put you in a higher bracket because you sold off some crypto for whatever reasons. For instance, an individual with $350,000 in capital gains would fall into the highest tax bracket, resulting in a state tax liability of approximately $16,000 on those gains. So again, this is going to be welcomed by a lot of people, no doubt, in Missouri.
There's one weird bot that keeps talking about 1995 Blockbuster hit Die Hard with a Vengeance. Is that
Die Hard with a Vengeance?
Die Hard
with a Vengeance. I remember Die Hard with a Vengeance. And all we've been hearing about really is the last.
Did you see this? Where'd he go?
I don't know. Where is it?
So we have a comment and viewer in Cape Town.
Yeah. I said that in the beginning of the show. I said, hey, from Cape Town.
I know. I saw that. But then I posted it up there.
Something?
That's pretty cool. It could be our first commentary from Cape Town.
Maybe from not from South Africa.
Not from South Africa necessarily, but Cape Town.
Maybe. Well, we welcome. Great to have you here.
That's awesome.
Great to have you here. Great to have you here. Actually, I ran into somebody in the gym the other day, and she was from South Africa. Look at that.
There you go.
Two people.
World.
Just it was yesterday. Okay, housing market. There you go.
Foreclosures expected to accelerate, Chip.
Well, if you're in that business, it's good to be in that business. There's not that many people in that business. I was in that business once, but yeah, the market, especially in Florida, it's getting weird. I have a buddy who doesn't live too far away that just sold his place. He was happy as hell to be able to sell it. And yeah,
it's crazy though.
Well, it depends on inventory too. I saw a lot. It depends on the area, but yeah, in Florida, there it's getting a little bit weird. Capital gains on 10 million will kill the gains. Please, Trump, no capital gains tax. Well, also too, the death tax is pretty rough too.
That is, yeah.
And the probate and all this other stuff. It's like why are states and why is the federal government profiting off of death? It's just, I mean, that has to get fixed. That's absolutely pathetic. We got 17. Check that out. Numbers. We have 17 in there right now for that. Well, we heard about these. I think a lot of companies too, because there was so much doom and gloom by the fake media, the tariffs, I'm like, why are they pushing back so hard on tariffs? And when Trump's ultimate goal is to reduce income tax, in other words, cancel income tax for anybody making 150K or less. I mean, you're pushing back on that? Right. I'm like, I know it's a lofty goal. I mean, chances of that happening, I don't know. It could be slim to none. I'm very optimistic, but again, it's a huge, lofty goal. But at least Trump's thinking about the people for once and not thinking about how the people in Congress can make more off their stocks, right? I mean, it's at least it's a different way of thinking. And with the tariffs, again, it's something new, but everyone's in Panicville about it. So a lot of companies in the sales side of it, I see a lot of
very strange
scaling back. They're trying to consolidate everything. They're trying to take vendors and collapse them. They're pinching on renewals for bigger, for lower costs. And it has a lot to do with that. Cue it up, baby.
Here we go.
17.
Ready, Chip?
Cue it
All
up.
right. Here we go. Ready? Let's get some people motivated early.
Talking about the number 17. Cue it.
17. Cue it up. But let's cue this up because we're going to get people motivated. We're at 17 now. Let's hit the next number. Here we go.
Win a Badass Yeti from the Blue Tribe.
Word of the day. You got your summon wallet ready. Why? 'Cause this is gonna be epic. Time to claim your legendary
syndrome.
Badass Yetis won't for battle, made for legend. Claim yours or be forgotten. Badass Yetis on the chain.
Damn, that was sick.
That crazy.
That was wild. Man. Another good one. It was like cool down beat drill. That was super sweet. The drummer was beautiful, man. Jim D saying Chinese bypassing tariffs by selling to Canada for resale through Canada. Interesting.
Mhm.
Washington State is 7% tax on long-term gains
Mm.
over 270K, but it's a non-income state. Okay, so I get you. But if you pass a certain number, then it is that. I see what you're saying with the hidden tax now.
Right.
Yeti commercials are so official. Yeah, man. It's a new one every single time.
Every
It's
time.
fantastic.
Mix it up.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's always something. There's always going to be a little tweak, a change. Something's going to be interesting in there. And it's an original song. I was telling somebody that the other day that we do an original song for every giveaway. They go, what? I was like, yeah. They're like, what? I was like, yeah. They were like, what? How's that possible? I'm
How's
like,
that even possible?
everything's possible. Everything's possible on blockchain. Everything's possible in the decentralized world. Everything's possible in the Yetiverse.
Verse.
Yeti.
Yeti.
So this tariff thing, everyone's going crazy. And then I saw this was posted today on the official White House X account. Breaking: U.S. announces a China trade deal in Geneva. Of course, Scott Bessent was there negotiating. It says, happy to report we made substantial progress between the United States and China. Very important trade talks. First, I want to thank our Swiss host. Swiss government's been very kind in providing us with this wonderful venue. I also think the great deal of the productivity we've seen, and we'll get in details tomorrow, but I can tell you the talks were productive. We've had a vice premier, 2 vice ministers that were integrally involved, and Ambassador Jameson and myself. Jameson, guess favorite whiskey for Jameson.
Jameson.
Ambassador Jameson. Do you have Jameson? Oh, yes, I do, right here.
Yes, I do. Ambassador Jameson.
Hold out to Jameson. Hold out 2 cups. Boom, boom. Spelled differently, but that's okay. Still works.
It's
Jameson and
Jamie's
myself. Jamie's son. I say Jamie.
Jamie's son.
Jamie's son. Hey, Mr. Jamie's son, you got some Jameson. Jamie's son, Jameson.
Jameson.
And myself, I spoke to President Trump, as did Ambassador Jameson last night. And he informed me of what's going on. So there'll be a complete briefing tomorrow morning, debriefing. U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Jameson Greer. This was, as the Secretary pointed out, very constructive 2 days. Important to understand that how quickly we were able to come to an agreement, which reflects perhaps the differences were not so large as maybe thought. And that being said, there's a lot of groundwork that had to go into these 2 days. Just remember why we're here in the first place. The United States has a massive $1.2 trillion trade deficit. Trillion with the T. So President declared a national emergency and imposed tariffs. And we're confident the deal we struck with a Chinese partner. Now, what's funny is China is saying, we don't have a deal in place. We haven't agreed to. I was like, they're always like, they don't want to talk about anything. And they'll say, we never had a deal. And they'll go home and there'll be a signed deal in place, right? It's almost like they don't want to know what's going on. And there's a lot of bad stuff that's happening. They're crumbling on the infrastructure and all kinds of stuff. So we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see. If anybody was wondering, Florida Panthers are up game 4, 1-0 right now against the Toronto Maple Leafs in second period.
They need to even it up tonight.
1-0. I mean, this is a different game than it was Friday night for sure. 13.5 minutes remaining in the second period. Florida Panthers 1-0. This is a good thing. They got to end this game 2-2 for the series as they go back to Toronto for their game Wednesday night. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. So there's another one. This was a Truth Social post by Donald J. Trump. Our country has been invaded. I want you to focus on that word because we're going to circle back to that just a little bit. Country has been invaded by 21 million illegal aliens, many of whom are murderers and criminals of the highest order. And if we're not allowed to remove them because of a radicalized and incompetent court system, the USA will quickly and violently become a crime-ridden third world nation, never to see greatness again. Our lawyers should state the fact when going before the United States Supreme Court and all other courts, I was elected in a landslide, won all 7 swing states, 312 electoral college votes, won 2750 to 525 districts, and easily won the popular vote. I must be allowed to do the job that I was elected to do. If not, we won't have a country anymore. Make America great again. So that's
Make it great.
So that's something right there. So I want to play a video. It's our big friend, Stephen Miller, who has become, before in the last administration, he was kind of behind the scenes a little bit. So what I really like here is he's kind of like a little bit more out and not sitting in behind anymore. So let's look at this one first, Scott.
That led to a great deal of the productivity we've seen. We will be giving details tomorrow. But I can tell you that the talks were productive. We had the vice premier, 2 vice ministers who were integrally involved, Ambassador Jameson and myself.
Whoa.
And I spoke to President Trump, as did Ambassador Jameson last night, and he is fully informed of what is going on. So there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning.
Jameson, did you hear that?
Jameson.
No. And here is Stephen Miller.
Jameson.
Listen closely what he's talking here, and then we'll circle back to the Truth Social post. There's a reason we want to take a look at this, but listen carefully as Stephen Miller gives the update here.
Hold on, there's a question back there first.
I have 2 quick questions. First, President Trump has talked about potentially suspending habeas corpus.
So he said President Trump has maybe talked about suspending habeas corpus.
Take care of the illegal immigration problem.
All right.
When do you think that would happen?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TP?
I always love the press. Steve Miller, he asked the press a question like, "Are you familiar with?" No,
They're not.
They're
no.
not familiar. They're not familiar with the concept. They're
They
not
don't,
familiar.
they don't know the law.
They don't know that. But I love that he asked them anyway, because you know, it's just I don't know.
PS, right? So, by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch, the courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yes.
Mr. Miller.
So there you have it right there. Here he says, yeah, I froze Saturday morning. Yeah, my internet unfortunately went out. By the time it did come back on, but the show was already done. So that was unfortunate. But yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was like, all of a sudden everything started spinning and it went crazy. And
And then you were gone.
yeah, then I was gone. I was like, it was a very strange thing. So
So
what's one of the ways you could suspend, according to the Constitution of the United States, habeas corpus, writ of habeas corpus? Well, there it is right there. There's the foreshadowing right there. It's in the post of Donald Trump. Our country has been invaded. You can suspend the writ of habeas corpus if there's an invasion or some kind of a war going on. There he is right there. And so reason he capitalized it, and there's a reason that and once that happens, cannot be stopped. And I'm sure they'll try to take it up to the Supreme Court. Let's talk a little bit about what habeas corpus means. It's Latin or means body. You shall have the body in Latin. Fundamental legal principle in the U.S. protects individuals from unlawful detention. It allows somebody in custody to challenge the legality of their imprisonment or detention, essentially forcing the state to justify the reasons for holding them. The principle is enshrined in the U.S. Constitution, ensuring people are not arbitrarily in prisons. So they call it the Great Writ. Habeas corpus also often referred to as a Great Writ because of its historical importance in safeguarding individual liberty. So let's get down to the part here where it talks about suspension. The U.S. Constitution allows for the suspension of habeas corpus in cases of rebellion or invasion when public safety requires it. I think they're teasing it. They probably want the courts to lay off, but they're going to go through it. They're not going to tie this up. They're not going to be having 21 million court cases. I said what they should do is they should send a notice to all 21 million of them and tell them to show up somewhere. If they don't show up at the court date, then boom, sent the port. It's like,
done.
Who's
Yeah,
going to show up?
Right. Yeah.
So there it is right there. There's the invasion. That's what I think is happening, Jeff. I think that this is, if given them no other choice because the court is overstepping its jurisdiction anyway.
Well, that's what's good. That's the problem. You have these activists, political activists, judges, that are out there doing things that are really contrary to the law. So we've seen just recently, we saw a couple, I think more than one get arrested, because the one guy was harboring illegals in his residence. So there's definitely, some major ramification as to what is already taking place within our judicial system, and to suspend habeas corpus in a given scenario, which would be, we have all these people that have illegally invaded the country. For those individuals, it's being suspended. So it's not being suspended on a broader scale, and it's from purpose of an invasion. And it's interesting because if we look at the Democrats with what happened with January 6th, and the reason why they wanted to orchestrate and make sure that from a public commentary perspective, it looked far far graver than what it actually was, as they termed it an insurrection or a rebellion or something along those terms. They probably, and we saw that how they imprisoned people really without a lot of due process. There were no due process. And so they, in fact, without coming out to do it, were, not granting them, speedy trial. They were putting them in and locking them up in solitary, and they left them there for years and putting them in solitary confinement, beyond what has ever happened before, when there's tons and tons of video out there. I mean, you get obviously there's shows and people talking about what happened, but there is a scenario where, and they attacked citizens of this country because the Democrats at the time were playing lawfare, and they were purposely targeting groups of people, as they did. They targeted Christian groups for nonprofit. They were pulling their nonprofit status. They were targeting conservative groups. There were a lot of things that the Democrat Party, when they were in power, were doing to subjugate the system, and going after and purposely utilizing a lawfare mechanism. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the Democrats fight back on this one, because here, instead of saying, hey, we're utilizing this against our own people, in this scenario, it's, the Trump administration is very clear. We have been invaded by 21 million people that are in this country illegally. Many are, there could be within that group, whatever the number is, decent people that are here. They came in because really that's what they really want. They do want to work, and they're trying to get out of their country. And there's a whole bunch of them that are just causing all sorts of havoc and chaos. Either way, when you come in the country illegally, the first thing you did when you enter this country, you did something that broke the law. So now we're in a scenario where, and there's so many of them, to your point, like, how do you just say, are we going to tie up the court system now for 20 million people? Is it even, possible? Or you're just rounding them up and saying, look, you got to get out. You came in here, you can get back in line to come back in and plead your case on the other side of the border when you go back home. But guess what? You got to go back home. And think about how many people came into this country, Chip, that weren't just south of the border, right? They weren't coming from Mexico. They didn't come down, come into Mexico from Guatemala. They didn't come from the southernmost tip of South America and make their way up. We're talking about people that got on an airplane, left China, flew to South America, and made the trek to walk in, or they left Africa, or they left the Middle East, or wherever it was they left from. They didn't fly into this country. They flew south of the border, so at some point, there's a very concerted effort to orchestrate them and gather them and group them. So how do they find out about this mass migration of people when they're not even on the continent? How does that happen? Who are they communicating with? They didn't just say, hey, you know what? This will be a great idea. Why don't we go down to South America and see if we can find a group of people? No, it was already being orchestrated, and they have contacts over in their country that are organizing them. So let's think about how far and wide this project is, and think about the money behind it. And then we have to start thinking about the personnel behind it, and how many countries and government representatives from those countries are participating in this whole travesty, in this whole scam. That's there's a lot to it.
Jim D with the old adage that every man has a nation to declare war on. If you think about it as a country, basically a person being part of the country. And so when you think about a conflict, it's ultimately going to be between individuals. It's not necessarily, you look at the collective state of a country, but it's always going to come down to the use. That's a nice one. Nice pulling that one out, Jim D. Gotta love that. Chips and dips. Thanks, Joe.
Chips and dips.
Chips and dip. I'll be Chip. You'll be dip.
That's right.
I'll be Chip. You be dip. I'm Chip. You're dip. See what I'm saying? That's how it works. That's how it is.
Oh, there we go.
That's how it is. What else we have here? So this was interesting too. Now this is another big one that's coming out. Trump basically teased this a little bit earlier today. He said, my next truth, meaning a truth post, will be one of the most important and impactful ever issued. Enjoy. And so here it is. For many years, the world has wondered why prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals in the U.S. In America were so much higher in price than they were in any other nation, sometimes being 5 to 10 times more expensive than the same drug manufactured in the same laboratory or plant by the same company. It was always difficult to explain and very embarrassing because, in fact, there was no correct or rightful answer. Pharmaceutical/drug companies would say for years that it was R&D costs, that all these costs were and would be for no reason whatsoever borne by the suckers of America alone. Campaign contributions can do wonders, but not with me and not with the Republican Party. We are going to do the right thing, something that the Democrats have fought for many years. Therefore, I'm pleased to announce that tomorrow morning in the White House at 9 a.m., I will be signing one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. Prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 30 to 80%. They will rise throughout the world order and to equalize, and for the first time in many years, bring fairness to America. I will be instituting the most favored nation policy, whereby the United States will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price anywhere in the world. Our country will finally be treated fairly, and our citizens' healthcare costs will be reduced by numbers never thought before. Additionally, on top of this and everything else, the United States will save trillions of dollars. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. And the mechanism to do that, Jeff, right there.
What? That's right. Most favored nation status.
Right there. That's what it does. In other words, because if you know,
Amazing.
and I agree if you like that, because what we're going to hear
Amazing.
from the Democrats is you don't have the right
Oh.
to tell a company, a private company, how much they can charge for, and they're going to come out and they're going to be wrong about this issue again. And the whole idea of making it most favored nation policy and enacting that is the fact that we're going to get it at the same rate of all the other most favored nation, right? So
You know, it's so amazing to me, you know, the thing that you're bringing up, because you know, you think about that the Democrat narrative was always, well, maybe it wasn't a Democrat narrative. Maybe it was more of a, you know, grunge, you know, hippie-esque narrative, you know, in terms of organic, no vaccination, health food, grow your own, no pesticides, no bad dyes in your food, you know, just good, pure, wholesome food. And from a prescription perspective, you know, the Democrats have always talked about, and it's an interesting narrative. The Democrats said we need to pump more money into pharmaceutical to pay for the pharmaceutical for people, right? Meaning more transfer of wealth. The Democrats have never been, or have lost the focus on, the narrative of health food, healthy diet, you know, all this other stuff, bad vaccination, you know, caring about the people, caring about the healthcare. But the narrative is interesting because this is where you see the crazy part of it all. Whereas the Democrat has always, you know, looked like they're interested in the people, look like they're interested in this, you know, free education, free healthcare, free pharmaceutical, free whatever it's going to be. But it was always tied back to the government's going to pay for it. It's always a payback. It's always a payday. And it's always a transfer of wealth on the Democrat side. That's what it's always been about. And it's always power, manipulation, and you know, and control. And this is the narrative that if we go back and you look at the communist regimes and you look at how they orchestrate and they control narrative, taken away from those that are the producers, and they're giving to those that are expecting handout. And it's really interesting that we're seeing this happening right now, because this is a whole different situation. This is putting the pharmaceutical companies on notice as well, because the pharmaceutical companies have taken grave advantage of the people. Our medical system has taken grave advantage of the people, because if you go to other countries, and I'm not saying that other countries have fantastic emergency care, the United States, by far, if you're in a catastrophic situation, you are going to be cared for faster and better in this country than pretty much anywhere else in the world. You know, if you're in an accident, if you need to go into the ER, if you need that immediate, like you need cardiac heart surgery, you need whatever kind of surgery, you need imaging, you need a CT, you need an MRI, you go to this country, you can have it done immediately. Other countries, not so much. Preventative healthcare measures, better food product, better life expectancy everywhere else. And it's a really interesting situation that we're in right now, because the truth be told, you know, with the pharmaceuticals, people, you go on one pharmaceutical, it's a slippery slope, because now it's impacting everything else in your life and your imbalance of your body. And you take one after another, and they're just sucking you dry. On the medical system, that's a long-term Band-Aid sick care, solution that our medical system has built, which you end up being in maybe surgery, or you'll end up in the hospital and, you know, stack hundreds of thousands of bills. But a lot of it starts right here with the pharmaceuticals, in terms of what you're paying for them, and then what the pharmaceuticals even do for you, because and that's interesting. Like if you have a common cold and you go down I remember, you know, when we were over in France, and I had a cold and everything, I went to the pharmacist and I just pointed out what I had, and she said, take this and this. I grabbed it, some for the congestion, everything. And it was like, you know, natural. I went to the pharmacy and I was able to get the exact same thing in their pharmacy that the pharmacist gave me. You go to the pharmacist here and you say, I have this, they're like, go down that aisle. And you walk down that aisle, and there's like 1,000 products, and you don't even know if they work, and they probably don't work, and when I was over there, I took whatever they gave me, and it was just like I felt better almost instantly. Like the next day, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like if I was, taking something over the counter in the US, I'd be sick for like a week, and it would just kind of band-aid you up. And then you go on TV, like it's crazy. I was sitting there with my wife the other day, and we're whatever show, I don't know what it was, but it's like every 2 seconds there's a commercial for a new pharmaceutical. And then the after effect is worse than whatever it's trying to help you with. Jeb, I don't get it. This is putting everybody on notice across the world, in this country too. Most favored nation status, which we've given other countries. Let it be brought to this country. This is great, Chip. A lot of rant segments on this one today.
Yeah. I was listening to, there's a great segment, Gary Brackett was on Joe Rogan, and he was, dispelling a lot of myths about, just about health and pharma. But one of the things he said is like the US is less than like 5 or 6% of the world's population, and 70% of the pharmaceuticals are sold in the United States.
That's
So
right.
there's a problem there. He talked a lot about, they're not really there to, you think about a lot of the tests and the standard of care that physicians have to tick the boxes, or they could be
Leak acids. Oh, sorry.
Yes, that's not good. Well, that's what, I always like listening to that. It's like all these mad things can happen to you while people are dancing and laughing and having a great time and parties and all that stuff. But RFK Jr. is going to crush that. And that's like 70-80% of like the CNNs and the MSNBCs. They're mostly on there, right? But you see them on Fox too, these pharmaceuticals. Nick Gunn says a friend of mine beat bladder cancer with ivermectin, methylene blue, and B vitamins. Yeah. My mom also
Crazy.
beat, she used I gave her fenbenzanol, and she had leukemia. Her platelet count was down to 9, and in a few months it went over 240, then over 260. So this is it. This ivermectin stuff is a miracle drug, cheap, dirt cheap. Same fenbenzanol. I bought it all on, they say, oh, the dog dewormer and this and that. And, Gary Brackett was sort of breaking some of these myths down, which was really fantastic. Yeah, we did see this visual vendetta during hydrochloroquine during the COVID, but also ivermectin. I was prescribed
that one after it,
and was able to do it.
and how did you feel?
I felt great. I went from laying on the couch, like barely able to move. Like I told my wife, you never want to see me again, take me to a hospital. You will never see me again. I will.
That's right.
Put me on a machine, and then they'll pump me full of some stuff. I'm not going to get into it here because where we are, and then I'm going to expire and be like, oh, geez, what happened? Oh, he died of this and that. No, we don't need that. Visual Vendetta also said Trump found a cure for cancer. The Democrats would say he lied and then deny billions to the cure. That's where we're at. What's fun, what I like is that there's the bait, right? Like you're fishing. You get it out there, it goes in the water. Boom, you get a couple bites. Next thing you got 100 fish on there, and you reel them in, and they're on the wrong side of history again. They're gonna come hardcore against this. You don't have the right. You can't tell this is this dictatorship. And meanwhile, people are sitting back going, wait a minute, people that are on medicines that, once you get in that donut hole and you can't break out of it, and you're spending thousands of dollars every month, when some other country that has most favored nations, status, they're paying a fraction of that. So are you saying the US is subsidizing all that? It's, the people, but they're going to push back against this.
They will push back.
Yeah. Just keeps lining it up, and they just keep getting, obliterated by it, time and time again, Jeff. It's just, to me, it's crazy town, but gosh, we could never have predicted this. There's no way in the world any of us would have ever predicted this, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. We're talking about vaccines over at dinner tonight, and a couple of my relatives are having horrible issues right now, and I'm like, well, they loaded up with all sorts of injections during the whole COVID thing, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, were they tied together? My next door neighbor, his wife had a virus on the outer lining of her heart, and they said, oh, it's because it was, COVID related. I'm like, no, I think it was more likely due to the injection that you got,
Sure.
that you got 3, 4, 5 times, and it's, I think all the way back, my mother was telling us today that, after I got my first uh, measles vaccine or whatever it was, a week later, I went into a convulsive state and I had like 7 convulsions, after. And I think there was another round of vaccines or whatever that they gave at that time. And I would have like repeat over and over. And they said it was like high temperature. They apparently did a spinal tap. I was like, I was a baby, right? This was the state of medicine back then, what their thought process was, because they were giving us those vaccines. And I was reading an article that all of the vaccines, doesn't matter what they are, every single one of them has led to cancer, bone issues, arthritis issues, like every single one of them. Everything that we've been putting in our body, all the conditions that we're suffering are a direct result of whatever mixture of they had given us, as a long-term side effect. And I was watching a podcast with one of the doctors who said the kids that they gave no vaccines to
Oh, it's the same one.
are
Yeah.
the healthiest. Yeah, are the healthiest. And I look at it, I'm like, man, but what about polio? What about, some of these things? And like, we've eradicated it. Some of the issues that we're having in this country now, we're seeing a reoccurrence of it, because it's being brought in from other countries. But, and then I was looking at, and I saw another video recently, and he was saying how many people died of, I forget what it was, whatever it was, diabetes, or not diabetes, of measles, or one of the things he mentioned, let's say, and he was saying how many people died of that. And it was like, whatever, handful. And he goes, well, how about diabetes? How many people have died of diabetes? Right. And it was just like, like a magnification of like 100x or something like that, based on if you did a direct comparative, and I'm like, man, it's just because people are so hyper focused on one thing that you forget about everything else. Like with COVID, everyone's so hyper focused on, well, how many people die of the flu every year? Oh, people actually die of the flu every year. And that's a huge number, but that all of a sudden the flu deaths went away, over those years. No one died of the flu anymore, and I forget what the number is, but it's a high number. It's a ridiculously high number, and we just got to bring things back into perspective and not politicize it. And I'm glad RFK's there, Chip.
I love it.
I think we're going to have a renaissance and a golden age of healthcare.
Yeah.
There's so many things that we could do proactively that it's amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing decentralization come to the healthcare industry, as it will come to crypto.
Zed wants to know if it's a gin and tonic. I mean, it's in my Yeti holder just to keep it cold, but no, it is.
There you go.
You're not
30
gonna-
to 50,000 per year die from the flu. 30 to 50,000, Chip.
Athletic.
Yes, Athletic Brewing.
Athletic. Wild. Athletic. It is non-alcoholic. Great.
There you go. No
Like,
autism.
yeah, the Amish were the big ones that told that. Vincent Capizzi says they poison us, sell us their drugs to supposedly cure us. LOL. Then the side effects from the one drug brings on 20 new conditions.
Exactly.
So from the doctors, the better off you'll be. And the other thing that they were talking about this podcast too was that when they do these studies, they only think about the one drug you have. They said by the time people reach 60, they're on about 5 different drugs.
Exactly.
So those drugs, they never do a study of how this drug, they talked about how bad statins are for the health and for this and that. Somebody earlier talked about who was it that talked about the B1, his buddy in the B1. Yeah, so they just watched a short video recently where they had a woman, they started B1 therapy. She had dementia. They had her try to read something, and then they showed her cognitive ability coming back, just B1 treatment. So if you look at a lot of this stuff, the Rockefellers had a hand in this when they went, because of the oil, and a lot of pharmaceuticals have oil in them. They wanted to go to a pharmaceutical. Before that, you had natural treatments. So they wanted the whole industry to go over. And even like all of the oversight with medical, it's got to fit in this box.
That's right.
And if your numbers are outside of that, like they talked about the HDL, the LDL. It's all a bunch of bullshit, number one. And they're like, oh, Chip, you're HDL. I'm like, look, man, why is it low? Are you on drugs? I'm like, no, I'm not on drugs. Do you have anything controlling it? I'm like, no, I don't have anything controlling it, right? But a lot of it, taking a lot of supplements and doing the right thing. But even if one does go up, like what is this good LDL and bad LDL and this and that? And Gary Bracken talked a lot about that. It's amazing when you start. What I love about the podcasting world, you have all these experts that finally have a voice because they got shut down during the 2020 lead up to 2023. They were shut down. They weren't able to talk. People were getting their licenses suspended. They're doctors. I mean, they're trained doctors that went through medical school. I mean, they're board certified, a lot of them. And it's just, to me, it was insane. But something happened this weekend, Jeff, that kind of took everybody off guard. It was Macron, it was Starmer, and the Chancellor, German Chancellor meeting. And I don't know if you saw this, but they're there. They sit down on a table, right? They're sitting in, like, I think, a train car or something like that, but they're all sitting down at a table. Now, I want you to keep your eye right over here on this little item right here, and this little item right here, that little item right there. So let's watch. Realize, first of all, Chancellor realizes the spoon is there, grabs it, and then Macron pockets the little paper baggie there. He takes it. Now, what they're saying was that was a tissue. It wasn't cocaine, right? But what it is a folded up piece of paper that the coke's in there. And this is, so what they're saying is, now, why would he have that reaction? If there's a tissue out there, like they're claiming, why would he have that? Why? Look at how embarrassed he is. He sees it because he sees the Chancellor grab the spoon first.
Yeah.
Have that. And now watch his hand as he, not so obviously, takes it and throws it in his pocket. It's a tissue.
Yep.
And throws it on the floor, right?
Yep.
Right. So this has been making the internet rounds. This was a funny. Somebody posted this one here. Take a little square, fold it up, pop it in there. That's what it is right there. They said it was a tissue. Why would you grab it at the table? And why would you have that weird, embarrassed look on your face? Yeah. Look at that look. I'm sure it's nothing, Jeff. I'm sure it's nothing. Of course, people made AI videos of them jumping up and down and taking their shirts off and stuff. It got a little bit on the crazy side. And then people started making this kind of stuff. Like this was starting to go around online. They started putting these kind of little items up like this. There's the Macron action doll. It doesn't base.
Oh my God, that's funny.
There it is. There you go. You got your own little,
you have it.
Macron action figure with little bags of I don't know, white stuff. But as it is in the Republic. So there you go. I'm sure it's nothing, Jeff.
Yeah, that's it. But all right, hey, we're at the top of the hour.
Let's go ahead and
let's get ready to do our drawing, get this show wrapped up. We're gonna do let me just play this song so we can get the drawing set up. We'll get that rolling. Hang on a minute. Let me roll this.
Win a Badass Yeti from the Blue Tribe.
Word of the day. You got your summon wallet ready. Why? 'Cause this is gonna be epic. Time to claim your legendary Blue Tribe Yeti
Of the clan. Mentalist. His name. Vendrome.
Badass Yetis born for battle, made for legend. Claim yours or be forgotten. Badass Yetis on the chain.
boom, boom.
Each one of these songs is just
They're
better
just
than the next. Chip, as soon as we wrap this up, I gotta go.
All
Gotta
right.
go. We're starting the third period.
Oh, here we go.
Third period's about to start.
Here we go, guys. We're gonna go ahead and pull it. We got 1 in 26 chance to win. Let's go. Chick, 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 chick.
Who's gonna win it?
Boom! Cash velocity.
Cash velocity.
Chad nauseum almost was right there. So you guys know the drill. You got to say, I'm here. I'm getting my Zaman wallet, and you have to get your X account. If you have an X account, we want to be able to tag you. And the post we put up on X, we want to be able to tag you in it. So we also are going to need that. And boom, just look, all of a sudden, huzzah.
Huzzah, just like that rigged.
Air didn't call it rigged, but visual did. I called it rigged. Nick Gerber says, congrats. I love that.
Good Jeff. Jeff's son. This is why I don't play Powerball. Can't even win with a 1 out of 26 odds.
Even worse, like the other day was like 1 in 13. It's like if you can't win one
Shenanigans.
Well, that's probably why you will win a Powerball, because like you have no chance to win.
I
You
know
probably
now you will. Yeah. All
give
right.
up
Is cash velocity here?
right there. Thank you.
Cash velocity. Look at that.
So get your Zaman wallet.
Zaman wallet ready.
Get your Zaman wallet. I feel like I'm in one of those songs. Congrats, man. That's great. It's rigged.
This one's gonna be epic.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna play a little short video here.
Baby Drew, huh? Whatever happened to lowering those gas prices, Donald?
It's $7.75.
We need some answers.
So let me guess. You live in California. So let me show you what I'm paying for gas over here, okay? Because I think you need to talk to your governor, not Trump. But let me show you what I'm paying. $2.69. That's what I'm paying right there. $2.69. Talk to your governor, not Trump. California is a shithole anyway, so I don't know what to tell you.
Drill, baby.
No extra share.
Right away. I've seen 260, Jeff. I mean, come on, it's coming down. It was 335 not too long ago. 340. I mean, come on. This is
Anybody see cash velocities?
he has no X to share, okay, but he's gonna get his. You guys seen his wallet yet?
Zaman wallet.
Mark Smith is
Zaman wallet ready.
Call the lottery commissioner. I want to read you. And then I'm going to play this dude while we're waiting. But please get your Zaman wallet. Do you guys see it there? If it's see it, please put. Oh, it's there. Okay, see it. We don't see it there. Yeah. So while you go grab that, Jeff, I'm going to play this video. This guy seems to hit it. He seems to ask all the right questions and seems to be spot on. Here we go.
The White House is unable to track billions of dollars sent to Ukraine. And the U.S. Treasury is unable to track trillions of dollars in pandemic spending. Yet the IRS wants to know where your $5.38 is, or you're going to jail. If we make guns illegal, then nobody will get shot. That's how we stopped everybody from doing drugs. The Colorado Supreme Court has decided you are not allowed to vote for your preferred candidate. They did this unironically in an effort to save democracy. Want to stop drunk drivers from killing sober drivers? Ban sober drivers. That's how gun control works.
That's it. Cash
If
velocity.
genitals don't define
Cash velocity is the proud owner of Vindromer, Badass Yeti number 342.
You don't have to broadcast for that. We know it's going to him.
gender, how does removing them affirm it?
It's gone.
Joe Biden has done more for Ukraine in a single term than he's done for America in 50 years.
True statement.
342.
That's it, guys. It's all the time we have here.
342.
Velocity. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate all you guys. All of you here. John Doe in the house. Zomer says, boom. Congrats, says Mike. Awesome.
Awesome.
Rig pulled again. Got you guys on the rig. Show up again Wednesday night so we can rig you guys all over again. Rigged.
We're going to rig it.
All right, guys. That's all the time we have. We're going to be getting out of here. We wish you a fantastic week. Come back on Wednesday where you have another chance. Hopefully it's a 1 in something chance, but eventually everybody will be able to get a shot at winning. Hopefully we'll get more, some new names in there as well. It'd be awesome to see that. But until we do that, I mean, it's just going to be what it is, people. What are we going to do? So we'll see you guys on the next one. Chip and Jeff out. Go Panthers.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.